Well, welcome everybody. I want to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Sarmen Sarkissian. So I'm the chair of the Armenian American Medical Society Mentorship and Membership Committee. Just very recently, we launched the AMS Pre-Health Mentorship Interview Series, where we're going to be interviewing students on their path to a professional career in healthcare. So we're actually picking students along the spectrum. This is going to be students that are currently in their undergraduate degree, people that have just graduated, perhaps they're taking one of their standardized exams, those who recently got accepted and they are about to matriculate, and importantly, those who have actually started professional school, and they'll be talking about their experiences. And later on, we're going to layer on actual residents and fellows. Today I'm lucky enough to have almost Dr. Andrew Adamian. He's been working with our medical society and with me personally over the last couple of years as a volunteer. So happy to have you on, and you're going to share some of your experiences with us. Andrew, tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kind of go on to the interview series.
Of course, as Dr. Sarmen already said, I'm Andrew Adamian. I'm a third-year microbiology major at UCLA, incoming for rising fourth year. I'm currently taking my summer classes at the moment, and I'm hoping to have a career in dentistry.
Yeah, very good. So before we get started, so Andrew, you actually went on to a four-year school from a community college. So I wanted you to tell the audience a little bit about what that process was like. What was it like at the community college? What did you experience whenever you transitioned over? Go ahead and share some of your insights.
Of course, so I did my first 2 years of my college experience at Glendale Community College, which is right down the street from me. Honestly, the classes there were kind of tough. And they usually offer all the classes except for, I believe, the physics series, or from what I've heard, it's harder. So I would have to take the physics, even though it's an undergraduate or lower division class elsewhere or at university. But even without that series, there's still a lot of courses you need to take at community college. So for me, it was kind of hard. It was a tough process, but honestly, it was if once you get the hang of it, it's doable. It's definitely doable. But the transition to university as well is something that you need to adjust to, especially if you're transferring to a school that goes on the quarter system like UCLA, because of, the complete differences in the semesters and quarters. The 10 10 week school year is way it goes by way faster than the traditional semester system would. And that's something that definitely hit me hard and took me a while to get adjusted to.
Okay. And what did you think about your study load? Were you able to wrap up every single prerequisite before you physically transferred over?
As I mentioned, I wasn't able to do physics, but apart from that, I was able to get my entire general bio, general chemistry, organic chemistry, calculus, statistics, all of those prerequisites out of the way. Pretty
Well,
easily,
just those
actually.
already sounds like almost 60 units right there. So
Yeah.
you probably even lost credit on some units, right? Taking everything over.
Yeah,
If
it
they do
was.
cap the number you can transfer over.
Yeah, they do cap it, but it's a high cap. I believe it's close to 100 semester units. It depends on the school, I believe, but I don't think anyone really hits that unit unless they're taking unit overloads for every semester. So
Okay.
you'll definitely be over the, I believe, 60 required units, but I don't think you'll hit that limit.
Okay. Very good. So obviously you had to maintain a pretty good GPA there. What were some of the strategies you used? Because you're taking a heavy science load. If you're telling me you're taking calculus, organic chemistry, and a biology series, that's already full time. Plus, some of the humanities you need to take and a lot of the other general education. So it's a very busy load you need to take. And obviously you need to maintain a really high GPA to make sure you're competitive to transfer to a competitive four-year. So any insights on how you kept up the good grades?
Honestly, it really depended on the class. For some classes, I would try to split up the studying, especially for like biology and other classes that had like a lot of coursework, a lot of material that I need to get into my head at once. I try to divide it up. I would make sure to prioritize like taking rests. That's a very important thing. Something that like a lot of students kind of neglect, but It's helped me countless times throughout studying, and every time I fail to, take a break or just go outside, like to catch a breather, like it always like came back to bit me or bite me. It's something that definitely needs to be done. Um, and apart from like knowing how to do that, like in general, time management is key. Like if you were able to split up the coursework, like let's say you have a English honors class, you need to write an essay by a certain date, you could split up the coursework and make sure it doesn't interfere with like another exam you're having for, let's say, general chemistry.
Okay, very good. Were you more of a morning studier or evening studier?
Honestly, I kind of split it up between those
Yeah.
two, but I honestly enjoy studying in the morning better. I never studied like past 11 o'clock. I had like a whole I guess that was just my way of doing it. I just couldn't study past 11. So every time the clock hit 11 o'clock, I would just drop everything, get ready to go to bed.
Yeah, I remember my habits evolved before I was the burn the midnight oil person until 1 a.m., 2 a.m. But over the years, that just started evolving into, 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. habits. But everyone's different and things do evolve. So very good. I mean, now you're, taking a lot of your prerequisites and they're pretty standard. Did you end up picking a science major or a non-science major? And, if so, how did you pick it?
So originally at Glendale College, I was a biological sciences major because I guess that's the only major they offered for like bio. But once I did transfer, I transferred in as a microbiology or MIMG major, which is it's a little different. Obviously it's like completely like a lot of different courses than the I guess regular biology major at UCLA. But I just chose that one. To me, it was more interesting, honestly. Like I was looking to all the majors. There's a huge like a list of all of the majors, all the prerequisites. But for all the LS majors, life science, biology, psychobiology, microbiology, molecular, whatever, all of them have this mostly have the same prerequisites, which is Gen Bio, Gen Chem, OChem, Calculus, Stats, yada yada yada. But I chose MIMG just because it interested me. I looked into the material. My dad even had a MIMG book back when he was at UCLA during his undergraduate studies. I went through it. It was interested me, so I just picked that one. It seemed like the best fit for me.
And what have you thought about the classes so far?
Very interesting, but they're also very difficult. Like it's a lot like the general bio, especially like for what I took at GCC was my 102 class, the second general bio class, which was one of the most information dense classes ever. I think at UCLA equivalent would be 7C because they have a three class instead of two. But it's very information dense. There's a lot of material, a lot of niche like topics that is being discussed, a lot of like genetics, a lot of small stuff. It's microbiology, so but it's very interesting. I've enjoyed my coursework so far.
And would you say you very much like your major? Are you in love with it? It's an important decision because, medical school applications are pretty exhausting and people are, tired along the way. The last thing you want, in my opinion, is picking a major you genuinely don't like, let alone hate. So where would you say you are from, 1 to 10 on that scale, with 10 being you're just absolutely in love with it?
Honestly, I'm somewhere around the seven or an eight. Like I really do enjoy the major. And honestly, I think you like have to enjoy the major if you want to be a part of it because it's just very like it's a very difficult major compared to some of the other LS like psychobiology and regular biology. It's a little more difficult. There's a lot more material. And if you don't really like the material like that's being provided to you, like I don't think you could fit in. I don't think you could succeed that well. Because it's just truth be told, whether you like it or not. Like if you don't, then it's hard to succeed. You have a lot of information you need to absorb, and if you can't enjoy it, then there's no point, honestly.
Yeah. Have you already charted out your classes for next year?
Yeah. So for UCLA, they usually let you enroll in classes much earlier than the actual start to this quarter. Like for my fall classes, I already signed up for all three classes I need. My summer classes, I signed up for those a few months back. It's usually have to have it planned out like well ahead. Like I had my whole schedule planned out at the like basically very start of me transferring like last fall. But the thing is, it's kind of hard to do that because at UCLA, especially when you're in a lower standing grade, like a third, second year even, it's hard to get these classes because it's they fill up very quickly, especially like physics at UCLA. That's a huge issue I've been seeing. So you have to have it planned out and with backups available. But you have to, some classes require double back-to-back semesters you need to take. Some need prerequisites. So keeping those in mind and being able to plan with all of that, the given information for each major, then I think you could easily succeed with that.
Okay, very good. So, as I've been working with you for a couple of years, through the society and other capacities, I've known you are, headed off to dental school. So, how did you end up making that decision, and how did you really commit to that decision?
Well, honestly, I wasn't always with dentistry. I started off as a pre-med in high school and even a little bit in college, but I was kind of like exploring different fields in healthcare. But ultimately, I settled on dentistry because my dad's also a dentist. He's been practicing for close to almost 30 years now, since like 2000, like even before he graduated UCLA 1999. So I've always looked up to him with that aspect. He was always like, I always admired his academic prowess and how he succeeded in his field of study and in the field of dentistry. And I just wanted to follow in his footsteps, to be honest. So that's the main reason why I chose dentistry.
Yeah. Do you feel like having a parent at home that's in the profession you're interested in makes a big difference? Because, at the last interview session we did, one of the things I brought up is that, a lot of times professions can seem theoretical unless you have shadowing experience, or I would say I was going to mention volunteering in there as well, but usually shadowing is more realistic than volunteering because you're in there seeing real world medicine, whether it's neurosurgery, dentistry, maxillofacial surgery, pharmacy. It's as real as it gets. So I think having a parent at home probably really helped you solidify your decision. Would you agree?
Absolutely. It really helped me with that because all my dad talks about is dentistry. Whenever he comes back from work, he talks about what cases he did, if he did, let's say, an implant or even a filling, cleanings. He always described them to me growing up. When you do them on, like when I'd go for my visits, he would always describe to me what he was doing, how he would do it, why he did it, when he'd have to do it. So I was raised with this information. It was something I grew up with. And becoming familiarized with that kind of stuff when you're like growing up, even like towards the uh, end of your undergraduate studies, like while you're getting ready for dental school, it really helps because you have a better idea of what well you want to do in the future, what you're going to be doing, what you have to be studying, all the aspects of the fields of dentistry. It's better to have it like instilled like at a younger age, so you have a better idea of what you want to do.
Yeah, we when we do our mentorship drives, I put a lot of effort and focus into ensuring, pre-health students get a lot of shadowing experiences, and I really try to connect them with appropriate people because, I would say shadowing reflects the real world. It's not like an undergraduate classroom. It's not a research project. It's not volunteering hours that you do just for the sake of putting it on your resume. 'Cause, if you're in there and you're very much don't like what you're seeing at all, by your 10th visit to the dentist's office, it's probably unlikely you're going to really like it when you sign up for, you know, that many years of, torturing for some and then $300,000 in debt only to realize you really don't like it. And, burnout is real. People do pick professions they don't like. I don't know what the actual numbers are for dentistry, but I do know there are dentists that leave clinical medicine way before the retirement age because they just end up not liking it. Um, it obviously doesn't end with your major and your excellent GPA like you have, Andrew. There is that daunting DAT test. So, how did you maneuver around that? What were some of the steps you took? Did you take a prep class? Did you start practicing your first year at GCC? So, share some insight.
Honestly, I kind of waited like to take the DAT, not as much as some other people would, but I kind of left it off for another time because generally when the best time to take it, especially as a transfer student, would be after or during the summer after your second year. because applications are going to be looming right around the corner. You have to be doing those basically during your third year. So having that DAT score already is really key and it really helps. But what I elected to do is I did it during my spring quarter. I took a way lighter course load. I just took two classes, two easy classes to get them out of the way and just get easy A's. But at the same time, like be able to focus on the DAT. And for what I did, I set aside 3 months, which is a quarter length. That's around the best amount of time to set aside for like 2.5 to 3 months is the perfect amount of time to just dedicate towards the DAT. And for each day, like try to study, I guess, 3 hours on average. I did a little differently. It honestly, it really depends on the person, what suits you best. If you could go like hours on end studying, or if you have to like do bit by bit. Me personally, I couldn't do it like hours on end. Like when I was starting, I was only doing, but let's say hour-long intervals like throughout the day, maybe an hour and a half in the morning, some a little bit in the afternoon. And honestly, I was kind of slacking off in the first like third, I guess, the first month because I kind of treated like a, I guess, an exponential like amount of studying. Like I study, let's say 2 hours during the first few weeks, and then maybe three, and then I started gathering up momentum. Like I got all the prep courses out of the way because I took DAT boot camp. That's what really helped me succeed. I know there's other resources. I think Kaplan offers it, but I'm honestly I haven't looked into the other ones. I just stuck with boot camp and it did wonders for me. But I they also do offer you like the guide. Oh, you were saying something?
No, I was going to mention, would you recommend the boot camp after some prep so you're familiar with the passages and sort of the general approach, or would you recommend going into it raw?
What I did is I went into it raw, honestly. But if you really feel that like you need to like I guess get a little bit of a refresher, especially if you've waited like until your third, fourth year to take the DAT, I would definitely recommend like a quick review of like your old material, your old bio notes. I use my organic chemistry notes a lot throughout, even like during studying, and it really helped me out with all the not even mechanisms, just like the reactions, products, reactants, everything. It drilled in my head much easier.
Okay. So, along the way, obviously now you've taken care of your DAT. That's an important check mark, strong grades, you picked a major you like. You've obviously done a lot of volunteering work for the Armenian Medical Society, which we're very appreciative of. What about research? Getting into professional school is very challenging. Dental school is not any easier than medical school, nor is pharmacy school. They're all very competitive, especially in California. And that's not meant to, scare applicants or deter them, but, there's essentially a benchmark of what they're looking for. And research has pretty much become almost mandatory. So what was your attitude toward research?
Honestly, I haven't really looked too hard into or have really done it. I've definitely looked, emailed a couple of professors, obviously unsuccessfully because it's really hard to get into a lab, especially as an undergraduate. But it's definitely something I'm looking to do during my fourth year, especially when my course load gets a little lighter, because I kind of I'm picking up from the slack of my last quarter, because taking two classes, it'll set you behind. But I'm definitely going to be looking into research. I'm going to be emailing professors, and UCLA is a very research focused school. So there's endless opportunities, honestly. If you email like hundreds of professors, there's bound to be a few to, uh, I guess, email you back, say, okay, we'll give you an interview. We have a spot open in our lab. Make sure to reach out with other, to like friends or family or any acquaintances that are already in labs, see if they have an open spot, or if they're leaving, you could just take their spot. It definitely helps to know people, like know your professors. They could maybe like, I guess, connect you with someone who's in a lab. And apart from that, internships also really help as well. Being able to work with other people, especially in like a field that you're interested in, like it'll give you a much better idea. Same applies with research.
Yeah. And you bring up a good point, because you already need at least one, if not two quarters to get adjusted to that quarter system as a transfer student. And, you're planning on, really focusing on your GPA because, as a transfer student, you really want to make sure you keep that GPA and ideally even do better. And you're planning for the DAT. So, I mean, it's not uncommon for someone in your situation to say, let me use my third quarter to square away my grades, my habits, my DAT, and then I can start, planning on research in your fourth year. Have you, given any thought to, taking a couple of years off when you apply or by the time you apply, or where do you see yourself as far as submitting your application?
Honestly, I really wanted to take a gap year, but I guess I had a schedule mix up. So I wasn't able to even take physics in during the spring quarter. So I just kind of elected to do a bit of a switch because I was planning on taking the DAT during the summer and taking a gap year because taking in the summer would be too late because by the time you study, take the test, and by the time it's submitted, it would already be September. And applications are, although they're rolling, they are ideally should be sent in by early August. So what I did is I just did it early. I got a 25, which is great. And if like God forbid, like I wasn't able to get a high score like that, I would have another opportunity to redo it over again this summer. So it's better earlier on and leaving, I guess, like some leeway. So if you do not want to take a gap year, you won't have to. But if, let's say, you do bad, then you always have the extra time to take a gap year. Because I know most students do at least one little bit of a like 1 year gaps. I know some people who have done 2 years. My dad just took an extra year in college. He just continued his workload for an extra year. It's not an uncommon thing. It's if it's something you're scared of doing, it's honestly something that's not uncommon. It's definitely something that really helps. It'll help you maintain your GPA, ensure you have a really good application, that you're not rushing anything. Because if you're going straight away, like you barely have any time to breathe. Like for me right now, I'm almost done with my applications. I'm about to have them sent in. I I would like ideally I would have liked to have sent them in early in June, but it's honestly better late than never. And it's not even that late. If you're planning on sending it in mid-July, early August, but definitely if you take a extra year, it'll give you more time to breathe.
Okay, very good. And because a lot of our audience are AMS associate members and active members, one important question that comes up is, you volunteered a lot of your time for the Armenian Medical Society. What was it like growing up in an Armenian community, especially in Glendale? It's a very tight-knit community, a lot of pride for our background and our heritage, and, obviously, some of the, more unfortunate parts of our modern history in the 20th century. How have a lot of those, events in our culture, and most recently, the war, the 44-day war, how have some of these things impacted, your drive, your ambition, your desire to give back to the community?
And they definitely have. Growing up, I was always very close to my culture, my heritage. I went to an Armenian school for the first 5 years of my education. I learned how to speak, read, write, some things that like skills and I guess abilities that I really hold dearly to this day. I even took an Armenian class at UCLA too, like a language class. I've taken multiple electives. Almost all my electives are Armenian, because it's something that I really hold dear to me. Like the community, I've always been a part of it, even when I was like living further a little further away from the Armenian that like main community in Glendale. I still was connected. I would go to ROT games. I'd sometimes go to summer camps. I'd do Saturday school. I made sure to learn more about my heritage. I always made sure to stay connected. And even more recent times with all the recent events that have been happening, I've been trying to help raise funds. Back in high school during the 2020 war, I would volunteer at the local church, help don I guess make a like volunteer like kits for the soldiers over there, sleeping bags and supplies. It's definitely something that I've always prioritized, like just helping, giving back to my community. Like it's something that's very special to me. It's it was always something that, and it kind of goes along with my what I want to do as well, because I know a lot of dentists, doctors, healthcare professionals that always give back to the Armenian community. They go to Armenia, treat the soldiers, and do all sorts of things for the Armenian community in diaspora.
Yeah, I think it's very important. It's one of the reasons I decided to join the society, get on the board and really put a focus on, mentorship in particular, because, like you, I grew up in a strong Armenian community, went to an Armenian school my whole life. And then, you grow up and, you go through your daily grind, but you always want to make sure you're in touch with the next generation. For me, the Armenian youth are our future. So ensuring that they have as strong mentorship as possible, through the society, it's the least we can do. So, and I'm really glad, you really care about the heritage and it's a big drive for your future. And I know you're going to continue to give back. So, to sort of close off our interview, any last parting words or pearls of wisdom for students at community colleges or those interested in going through the grind in a science major, taking the DAT? Any pearls of wisdom you can pass on to the the kids entering?
Honestly, my biggest word of advice is just don't give up. It's something that a lot of people tell you. I know it sounds generic, but genuinely it's something that you need to like have mindset you need to have. Just do not give up. Because I've seen so many people in pre-health, pre-dental, pre-law even that have just gone through the coursework and just gave up. They couldn't handle it. They didn't, I guess, like see their full like potential. They just weren't able to like they didn't like it, so they just gave up. But if it's something that you can't really like enjoy, it's something that doesn't give you like, I guess, joy or satisfaction, then it's definitely something you need to keep in mind. You have to really love what you're doing. Otherwise, there's no point. Like microbiology, especially like if you see all these like niche research papers about virus structures and bacteriophages, whatever, it's not interesting to a lot of people, and it's just something that they can't enjoy. So you have to really know what you want to do and really, I guess, um, just love what you do and just find what is perfect, best suited for you. And especially with community college students, it's the best opportunity to do that because a lot of my like close friends in GCC, even Valley College, even in UCLA after like transferring, they've switched what they want to do from like let's say pre-health to pre-dental, like me, pre-health to pre-law. It's you always have the opportunity to change, and it's not at the end of the world if you have to. And don't think of it as giving up. Like I say, never give up, but also never just never hold yourself back. Never prevent yourself from doing what you want to do, because that's the number one, I guess, priority for it should be the number one priority for everyone, especially students.
Very good. Well, Andrew, we really appreciate your time. I think you have a lot of wisdom you can pass on to some of your peers, especially the younger kids graduating high school, entering community college, and those who are transferring from other community colleges, and those who are just about to take their DAT or prepping for it. Really thank you for your time and all your volunteering for the medical society and a lot of your passion for what you're doing. So,
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
thank you.